comfortable, we'll kick off. If you've got, you probably can see the three of us on the screen this evening. So you've got Peter Licorinas.
Hi.
Jackie Reeves.
Hi.
Tonight's probably more an introduction to HMOs and how we're coping with COVID-19. And if you're new to investing, it would be perfect. If you're experienced to invest in our HMOs already, and hopefully there'll be some golden nuggets for you. And we've got a lot of question time. We thought with COVID-19 and all the changes happening, we'd leave a longer time for questions so we can answer everybody's questions. So feel free to ask questions as we go along, or at the end, there'll be plenty of time.
Cool. What time are we? All right, shall we kick off? Are we giving them 10 minutes to
Yeah,
log in?
so
yeah. Okay, let's get that.
A lot of you will know Mark, Jackie and I from Property Master Academy, some won't. But obviously in current times, we're changing a lot of what we're doing online. And we're doing some exciting things online, hence the webinars every 2 weeks, hence tonight's webinars. So yeah, hopefully our new way of working means we can help more people. And I think that's a passion the three of us share, to help as many people as you can. I think in these sort of uncertain times, there's more people on webinars, more people on the internet. So it's a great opportunity for us to connect with more people. Hope everyone's got a glass of wine.
Or water.
So yeah, we're launching our online property mentor elite mentorship, where we can really get personal with mentees and offer them something different, which we'll talk a bit about later. We're just going to talk about HMOs, why they work, why they're better, why they can continue to thrive in these uncertain times and into the future, and how that can work with COVID-19. This is part one, and we'll be providing a webinar every 2 weeks on an ongoing basis now, so watch this space. Yeah, feel free to ask as many questions as you want to as we go throughout the presentation, and at the end, obviously take as many notes as you can as we go along. So that's myself, Mark and Jackie. Those of you that don't know us, Mark and Jackie are the founders of Property Master Academy, PMA. I'm a partner. I joined the guys a couple of years ago. Between us, we've got over 80 years experience. Mark and Jackie have been business partners for over 30 years. They've run many successful businesses. They've been in property for over a decade. They've got portfolios in 3 or 4 different parts of the country. HMOs, buy-to-lets. They've more or less not just taught every property strategy, but followed it and invested in it themselves. So I feel very privileged to be in a team with the 3 of them, 2 of them, to make 3 of us, and offering education and mentoring to all the investors, new and experienced out there. It's quite a privilege to work with Mark and Jackie. They're extremely nice, kind people, giving people. I think the 3 of us share those traits, and we genuinely just want to get out there and help people. And I think our biggest USP is the 3 of us, the way that we work together. Our experience, our knowledge, our different ways of working. We're all very, very different. Jackie, without a shadow of a doubt, is the best coach, the most patient. Mark, there's no bullshit. He gets straight to the point. And I'm just a bit crazy with a lot of knowledge and passion. I think that would describe the 3 of us well. Would you agree, guys?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
So every 2 weeks, we're bringing you different webinars and different opportunities. Tonight is about HMOs, which is more my biggest passion. I've been in property for 22 years. I joined and was part of a big estate agency, taking it from 10 to 125 staff. We set up successfully an investors club, and we started investing in HMOs and building portfolios for HMOs with our investors about 12 years ago. And I think we saw a gap in the market where it was always being done, but being done badly. I've now got 5 property companies, which are across the bottom there, the majority of them. Over 400 properties that I've bought for investors over the past 12 years, many of which were HMOs. And we've got a huge power team, and we'll talk a bit more about our power team and what you should all be looking for to have in your power team as we go throughout the slides. But hopefully that puts the 3 of us in a position to be able to give you our advice and our knowledge and experience, and hopefully help some of you on your property journey. So an introduction to our team. Obviously, you can see there you need a lot of different people in your team. And we'll just go on to the next slide and we'll run through some of the most important people in our team. And this is HMO related. The local council, when I set up my portfolio building company, the first person I got on my side was the local council and the HMO officer for Berkshire. And now he comes and talks to all our mentees and works with me, Mark and Jackie on how we work with our mentees. And he's a bit of a geek genius. There's nothing he doesn't know about HMOs. He wrote a HMO license for Reading, Berkshire. Project manager, I love to project manage the HMOs myself because I enjoy it so much. And because I've done it for so many years, I make each HMO extremely different, stand out from the competition, and I just really enjoy project managing it. But if you don't want to project manage it yourself, then you need someone who can. Finance, we've got a really strong finance team between Mark, Jackie and I. We have 3 or 4 different people in residential finance, commercial finance. Gerardo Gasparo, someone I've worked with for 12 years, and the guys know very well. He does a lot of my investors' HMO mortgages. Solicitors, we've got 3 or 4 different teams of solicitors that all do different things. Some write different agreements, option agreements, some do transactions, some specialise in HMOs, some specialise in covenants, which is really important with HMOs, which we'll come back to a bit later. HMO officer, in a lot of the Berkshire areas I operate in, you've got 3 or 4 different people that are all relevant to HMOs in different departments in the council. So it can be really complicated and confusing sometimes. So it's really important you get to know them. Someone who understands legislation and the different standards. We'll touch on those today. But either you need to be a geek yourself or have a geek in your team. Refurb teams, probably the most important part of my personal team for HMOs. It's taken me years and years to get a really good, reliable, strong team of tradespeople who understand HMOs. And over probably the last 6 years, I've worked very closely with 2 companies, and that now they understand HMO. I've taught them HMOs, the different standards. They understand what a 5-bed, what a 6-bed, and what a HMO planning permission needs. So they can just get on with it. So refurb teams are really important. If you don't have a refurb team that understands HMOs, then you need to teach them. Interior design, again, part of the project management process, but a really fun part of HMOs. As I said earlier, we do every HMO, we make it unique, we make it different, we make it stand out from the competition. And for me, the interior design is equally as important as the refurbishment of a property in a HMO. And helps it stand out from the competition. The furniture, the layout of the room, what extras you put in there, whether you use Cat 5, Cat 6, whether you have televisions or not, it really makes a big difference. Lettings and management team, a lot of people like to manage our own HMOs. It can be a nice, enjoyable thing to do if you're doing rent to rent, or perhaps you've got 2 or 3 HMOs, but if you've got 5 or 6 or 7 HMOs, it can become a task a really time-consuming task and a difficult one, managing that many tenants. So a lot of people work with good letting agents, which we'll talk a bit about later. Good accountants. There's probably some more on there. Mark, Jackie, if I missed any off, we could probably mention. I think the majority are on there.
Yeah, I think you've covered most of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, your team is really important. We're going to have a big Q&A at the end, as I mentioned. We've got a special bonus. We've got a few giveaways for everybody, and we've got a bit of a special offer that we're only offering this evening. So stay tuned. Everyone will have that opportunity that has taken part in today's webinar. Excuse me if I'm bouncing around, by the way. Those of you who know me, I'm high energy, and it's very difficult for me to sit down for a short period of time, for a long period of time. So I'm bouncing around. Okay, so what are HMOs? It's obviously a build. Well, I say obviously, but if you're new to investing, it's not. It's a building or a part of the building that is occupied by 3 or more people and 2 or more family groups who share basic facilities. In a nutshell, without complicating it. So why HMOs? Yeah, I think that's a great question. Why did I start investing in HMOs 12 years ago and working with investors and helping investors? For me, HMOs perform for years. They've performed well for the past 12 years since I've been working with them, but way before that. And they're going to be performing for the next 10, 15, 20 years. They're growing in popularity, which is a good and bad thing. If you're an investor, obviously it means there's going to be more competition. But again, if you do it to a high standard and you stand out from the competition, then your room should always rent. I'll give you an example. One of the areas we operate in, Reading. Reading's got over 1,600 rooms available on the market. But if you have a HMO in Reading, you can still rent rooms because the quality of room in Reading is appalling. And my main demographic or client type is professional tenants, and there's an abundance of professional tenants in Reading, and they like high quality rooms. So we do high quality rooms, and our rooms still rent and rent quickly. Yeah, 12 years, over 400, and still growing. Demand for how many HMOs we're doing with clients is growing every month. We've got a waiting list for people that we work with now in terms of my own business. So that tells me it's still growing. And from PMA's point of view, we've got more and more mentees now that are working with us on HMOs and wanting our guidance on HMOs. Section 24 proof. Well, obviously, Section 24 hit the buy-to-let market hard, and setting HMOs up in limited companies. Obviously, the quadruple income that you can get from HMOs means that the 4%, 3% you've got from a buy-to-let jumps up to 7 or 8% net and up to around 14, 15% gross. So the yield is much higher, and it's certainly Section 24 proof against buy-to-lets if that's what you were doing before. Let's probably move a bit quicker, Mark. Recession proof. If we go back to 2001, when the market wasn't great, when we look back at 2008 and 9, when the market wasn't great, less and less people were buying property. Yes, less people were potentially renting 1-bedroom flats for £1,000, £1,100, and more people were opting to rent rooms, save £500 or £600, which allowed them to pay off debt, which allowed them to save more money. So in a recession or a poor property market, the demand for HMOs tends to, in my experience, grow quite rapidly. And I'm expecting that over the next 6 months. When the lockdown relaxes, we're expecting a massive demand for our quality rooms. And we know a lot of professional single people are not going to want to go and get that mortgage, which they were considering, or maybe don't want to get that flat, and they want to save £500 or £600, and they can get one of our rooms, which, to be honest, is a better quality than a lot of apartments for a lot more money out there. And again, everything I'm going through is what Mark and Jackie and I teach on a regular basis, and what we work with mentees. COVID proof. Yeah, again, I think that's part of what I just said about being recession proof. I think over the next 6 to 12 months, HMOs are going to thrive from a tenant point of view. But where I'm really excited, and I'd probably say my top 10% of clients are telling me to go and buy a property for them. Mark, Jackie and I are looking for deals, more deals than we ever were, because over the next 6 months, yes, there's a possibility property prices will come down. I think they'll personally come down around 5 to 10% over the next 6 months. But if you're buying below market value anyway, it doesn't really change the deal if you've already bought a property. But certainly over the next 6 to 12 months, if you're not going to take advantage and buy a property or look for great deals and you've got the money, I think you're mad. This is the time. If you've got cash, it's king. Go and spend it. Get some good deals. Pay below market value for these properties. And the demand for the tenants is there. So the yield is only going to be far greater. And when the market recovers, and it will do, probably next year and probably quicker than we think, the capital appreciation is going to be even greater for everybody that went out there and got the bargain. So massive opportunity coming up. Do it properly. We'll talk a bit more about this later, but I think doing it properly is important. I think in October 2018, when the legislation for HMO changed, I think it was a great thing, a really good thing. There are some areas around Berkshire that had hundreds and some thousands of HMOs, but only a very, very small percentage of them licensed because they were being done so badly. Now it's a level playing field. You have to do it properly or you'll get caught and you can be fined a lot of money. Earn up to 4 times the amount of income of a buy-to-let. I think that's, it's quite obvious. If you're renting out a 1-bed flat for £600 and you can get 3.5 grand for a HMO, then it's a no-brainer. You want to go a bit quicker, Mark? Yay. So yeah, up to £1,500 cash flow on one property. I think that's the minimum we tend to look for. And when I say cash flow, I mean profit. I mean, if you're getting over £1,000 cash flow on a HMO, then I think it's good value and it's good income. But if we aim for £1,500 and it's possible. You can buy below market value and you can add value, which is key. You can view you can view as many houses as you want, and you can make as many offers as you want. And if you've got good relationships with the estate agents and they know they're going to benefit from you buying from them and you're going to continue to buy from them, then it's in their interest to obviously wrap these deals up to you. And over the next 6 months, I know I'm going to keep saying this, but it's going to be a great opportunity where you can go and see a property and you can start with an offer 20-25% below the asking price if it's been on the market some time, and hey, you're going to be taken seriously. You really are, and you're going to get some great deals wrapped up. So you can buy below market value, add value. We'll show you some deal examples later of properties that we've bought or our mentees have bought where we've added value and how you can look to add significant value. And I think there's different areas you can invest in HMOs and they all work really well. The further up north you get, the higher yield you're going to get, but potentially a lot less capital appreciation, a lot less return on your capital. But in some areas, just outside of London, you can get return on investment, a good yield, you can add good value, and you can get good return on your capital, all within one deal. So you can tick all those 4 boxes, which is what I personally look for. And you make your money when you buy every single time. I mean, those of you that know me, Mark or Jackie, or get to know us, and we say this all the time, you make your money when you buy a property. If you're careful, if you buy the right property in the right strategy in the right area, and you've got a plan A, B, and C, you can never lose money. You only lose money if you buy a bad property. We wouldn't let that happen if we worked with you. And as I say, the demand for rooms has never been so high. It's more socially acceptable for people to take high quality rooms, and it's only getting more and more popular. Okay. So different format and strategies behind HMOs. I've just touched on that. Different parts of the country can work. It's good to invest in HMOs with someone you trust for sure, or somewhere close to you where you can get to and a market that you can fully understand yourself. Buying property in the right areas is key. First of all, you need to think about your demographic, what type of tenant you're going to go for, whether you're going to do student HMOs, whether you're going to do professional tenants, and then you need to look at the right area to fit that mold. Subletting property is rent to rent. A lot of people do rent to rent, and rent to rent done successfully can make you a lot of money and is a great strategy. Something else we do teach at PMA. We've got a rent to rent mentor, which is he's fantastic. Giuseppe, he's got over 25 rent to rent HMOs, and he's been very successful in it. It's a strategy Mark, Jackie and I followed as well, and we had a portfolio of almost 20, so it can be really good. You can use other people's money. I was talking to one of my mentees last week, and she only has a certain amount of money to go round. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how much money you have, eventually it will always disappear. You always spend it. So you've got to get used to working with other people and using other people's money. That might be in 5 or 6 different formats as a joint venture. If they've got the money, you've got the expertise, the knowledge of the area, you've got the team to help them put the HMO together or manage it, then you can agree a 50-50 split, and you can work with other people's money. Different types of tenants, yeah, I just touched on this. So there's lots of different types of tenants. You can go for a really niche market like key workers or nurses, or you can go for students or professionals. Giuseppe goes for foreign tenants because he can speak 4 different languages. So it's whatever works for you. But yeah, so it's really good to find your niche and stand out from the competition. So how should you start? Well, come and join us on our webinar for a start. Come to one of our training courses, educate yourself. There's amazing educators out there. Mark, Jackie and I have over the years have worked with a number of them, and there really is some excellent educators out there. For me, work with people you like, work with people you trust, take your time to build those relationships, attend training courses, webinars, but educating yourself is obviously very, very important. Create an outstanding power team for yourself, or work with an outstanding power team. One of our mentees, Louis, has been creating his own power team over the past 4 months, and it's worked really well for him. Other people will choose to work with other people's power teams, but it's really important. Going back to that first slide, running through the people that we've got in our power team. Know your legislation, know the information behind licensing. It's really important. Licensing it's quite complicated, but once you get your head around it, it's okay. It's a lot of paperwork. It's about license lasts for 5 years. It's about between £1,000 and £1,500 generally, depending what area you invest in. And whoever's in your team, whoever you're working with, being mentored with, just make sure you trust them, and you can build a long-term relationship with them. Work with well-established companies and people, so do your diligence, or you can get the experts to do it for you, and work with people that are going to build your portfolio for you if you haven't got the time or the inclination to do it yourself. Know your area. Again, we touched on that already, and it sounds obvious, but it's amazing how many people start to invest in an area and don't really know it, or they regret it later on. So know the rules. Yeah, no cutting corners. I touched on it a moment ago. Since October 2018, the rules changed, which I think was a good thing. Minimum room sizes changed. So a minimum room size generally up and down the country is 6.5 square meters. If it's a 4-bedroom HMO, it doesn't require to be 6.5 square meters, but 5 above it does. Sorry, can we get these? Yes, thank you. Licensing standards, the standards of fire doors, the standards of carpet. A lot of people that put cheap appliances and carpets and in HMOs, although it's not the rules, and you don't have to put good quality fixtures and fittings in, it can make a big difference, because after a year or 2 years of 6 people or 6 people plus sharing that house, if you put poor quality furnishings in, then you'll be replacing them pretty quickly, and you'll end up spending more money. Every council is different, so this is really important. Every council up and down the country is different. I work in an area called Camberley, and an area in Reading, 10 miles away. The council rules and regulations are completely different. So again, goes back to what I previously said about getting to know your council and understanding what that town or city's specific set of rules and regulations are. My mouth's getting really dry. So yeah, our focus is high quality hotel standard rooms. When I say mine, this is what I like to teach because it's new, it's fresh, and it's a growing market for HMOs. And it's what I preach within my own business, my own portfolio building business. We do high quality rooms. We try and do quirky rooms. Every HMO that we do is completely different. And we put digital televisions in every room, smart televisions, Cat 6, really good quality furniture. We put as much storage as we possibly can in each room, desk and chairs, and that tends to attract the best possible clients for us. And also, it puts us on the top of the search bar on all the websites that tenants are going to be looking at. So they tend to call us first. We've even got posters that we put together, which is really clever, celebrating our rooms and the quality of our rooms. And then we post them through other HMOs, so we can poach the other tenants from the poorer quality HMOs. And hey, if you don't do it properly, certainly with the actual legislation, you're gonna have to help us out, Mark and Jackie. I'm losing my voice already. You can get fined big money. There was a well-known landlord in Reading that said she went for a cruise for 3 months. But she was actually in prison and she got a hefty fine. So you really do have to be careful and follow the rules and regulations carefully and speak to your local council and make sure you know what theirs are. There's obviously a minimum standard and then wherever you want to take it.
And I think the thing is that as HMOs are becoming more and more popular, they're becoming more on the radar. So councils now are, hence the rules were tightened in October 2018. And councils are becoming far more aware of the HMOs that are out there and doing more. So, something you've got to be very careful of.
So, type of clients. So, create your niche. There's no right or wrong. I'm just going to be talking more about professionals this evening because that's what I practice and preach every day. I think it's a growing market, but our mentees, a lot of our mentees will do key workers, students, professionals, more niche groups, as I mentioned earlier. I just think that the professionals for me is the model I enjoy to teach and the model that I follow myself. But yeah, you can create your niche with anything. As I mentioned a moment ago, Giuseppe works with foreign clients, which works really, really well. I think there's a massive gap in the market, certainly from around Berkshire and Surrey and where I'm based, to go after council tenants because there's a massive demand. Local councils are looking to work with investors to put council tenants in HMOs. So I think there's a massive gap in the market there. It's something I might personally be exploring at some point myself. So the house, so know your niche. So yeah, so the type of house is quite wide ranging depending on your area. I like 1960s houses because they've got much bigger rooms. And they've got a lot of wasted space where you can add a lot of value, which I'll come back to later. 1930s houses, again, in areas like Reading, absolutely fantastic in Berkshire where I am, or a lot of 1930s houses up north. There's no covenants because covenants weren't around in the 1930s. So there's a lot less complications and restrictions to using the houses as HMOs. And again, a lot of them do have big rooms. Detached houses can work really well, more parking spaces, bigger rooms. Again, some terrace houses work as well. And you really need to create 5 or 6 bedrooms for me. That's the perfect, simplest model of a HMO. I think when you go above 6 bedrooms, firstly, you require full planning permission. A refurb is going to cost a lot more money. And then you really want to be tapping into probably 8 bedrooms and beyond to make it financially worthwhile. But larger HMOs do work. Mark and Jackie have got one and it's been very successful to them. And I know lots of investors that go for the bigger HMOs, but it is more money it's more work. And the way I personally look at it, if I could have one large HMO, let's say a 600 grand property with 12 tenants in, and I could buy 2 properties for 300 grand each with 12 tenants in, it's going to be easier to contain. I'm going to have 2 happier and better working HMO households. And over a 10-year period, the capital appreciation on those 2 properties is going to be far greater, and the income's not going to be any less. So for me, from a long-term point of view, it just works much, much better. So different examples of HMOs then, mentioned a couple already. Not owning, obviously the rent to rent HMO is very, very popular. If people haven't got a lot of money to begin with, then rent to rent is a great way where you sublet a HMO that's not working, or the landlord's not really enjoying managing, so they're listening to you subletting it. Or when we done rent to rent, what I enjoyed doing is finding a buy-to-let property that had been on the market for some time, and the landlord potentially wasn't making any money on it, and then approaching the landlord, taking it for a 5-year period, and then splitting that property into a 5 or 6 bedroom HMO. So for example, if the property was on the market for a buy-to-let purpose, from a single let purpose at £1,500, if I then agreed a 5-year rent at £1,000 a month, where the landlord didn't have any gaps, didn't have any complications, didn't have any problems, and then I split it up to 6 rooms and I got £3,000 a month, potentially there's over £1,000 profit. So not owning the property and running a HMO is really popular. Joint venture, as I mentioned a moment ago, different locations. These bullets aren't working for some reason. Working with the council, I mentioned that. I think there's a massive opportunity out there for investors to work with local councils and potentially provide a lower quality product, which would be a cheaper refurbishment, and working with the council and putting council tenants in rooms. Working with sourcing companies, there's a lot of sourcing companies out there that can source HMOs for you, or you might already be experienced and you might want to be a sourcer, or you can work with a portfolio building company, similar to what I do, where we find, source, guarantee below market value property, we renovate it, we interior design it, we rent it out, and we manage it for investors. So we offer a complete portfolio building service.
Just a couple of quick questions, Peter, that have come up, which are kind of relevant to what you were talking about. So one guy, Diran's asking, how much would I need to start an HMO? How much cash, I guess he's talking about, how much investment required? I guess.
Okay. Good question. So just some simple examples. The way to work it out is you want to put a 20%, just rough numbers, and this is what I would do. There's no right or wrong. I'm just giving my experience out there. 20% deposit, stamp duty, solicitors fees, mortgage fees, refurb costs, interior design costs. And if you work that on a property up north, where you're going to buy a property, you could buy a property for around 100 grand, and you could get a really good yield on that. Then obviously you can work those numbers out for yourself on the calculations I've given you. For what I do, where I invest in Berkshire, 20% deposit, the average price is around 400 grand. The average refurb's about 40 grand. Refurb, getting the HMO ready, adding value. License fee, £1,000. Interior design, room packages between £8,000 and £15,000 to the standard that we do it. So I'd probably say where we're investing, HMO, we probably invest about 150 grand on average into each one. And we'd expect to add 10% value to that property immediately. We'd expect to get around about a 10% to 12% return on investment, around the 12% yield, around 25% return on capital employed, and a further 10% appreciation over the next 3 years. I think that answers that question.
Yep.
Awesome.
Question from Tom was just on clarifying the amount he's put. Is it £1,500 per month or per annum? I can just tell you it's per month, Tom. the cash flow that Peter was talking about. That's per month per HMO. Lorna, not many HMOs are legal on rent to rent. Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, they're not, and it's one of the things that we teach to make sure that they are done properly. Because I think you'd agree, Peter, Jackie, that there are a number of HMO rent to rent HMOs out there that are definitely illegal.
Well,
Not something we condone.
I think one of the things I love about this job and working with Mark and Jackie is we love teaching people the proper way to invest and the real way to do this. And we get a lot of people that have done a lot of different and variations of rent to rent training, and they're led to believe that they can do it for as little as £1,000, £2,000 per property, and it's easy. It's not easy, and rent to rent done properly does take time and consideration, but you can get good deals. You can get them probably from as little as £5,000 or £6,000 investment, but you do need £5,000 or £6,000 investment to make that rent to rent start working for you. But then if it can deliver between £500 to £1,500 a month profit, and you quickly get that money back, and over a long period of time, it can be very, very fruitful. But I think there's a lot of people that teach you how to do things badly. And I'd say one thing we do at Property Master Academy is teach you how to do it the right way. And there's no quick way. Property investing isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich over time scheme. And we teach people how to be patient, how to learn properly, and how to not make mistakes and make their money when they buy or when they invest, not lose it.
Okay, and Ash Patel said he's budgeting approximately £12,000 to £15,000 refurb per room. Would that be about right?
Yeah, I think you're more or less on the ball there. Again, it depends whether it's going to be an ensuite room. It depends whether that cost includes furniture. And then obviously you've got to look at the other costs across the house in terms of the en-suites or bathrooms, the kitchen, and the other facilities. But yeah, you're not a million miles away there.
And just to clarify a couple of abbreviations we've used, guys, because a couple of you put the questions on there. So ROI is return on investment. ROCE is return on capital employed. If you're not sure how they're worked out, unfortunately, we haven't got time to go through that this evening, but they're a good measure of comparing different investments. So something certainly happy to cover with you separately, but that's essentially what they mean. Okay, mate, yeah, back to you.
Anything like that, get in touch with us, or hopefully we'll explain a bit more at the end of this presentation, but you'll be able to work with us. We can teach you those sorts of things. Okay, yeah, the build. Who's going to do the refurb? This is really important. If you're going to do HMOs, you need to know who's going to do your refurb before you've exchanged on that property, way before, so you can understand the costs. So again, it comes back to having a really good refurb company or people that know what they're doing. If you're going to project manage it yourself, you need to know what you're doing. If you're not, the project manager needs to know. Otherwise, on average, on completion, our average turnaround for HMO and complete refurb is 6 weeks. When we started doing that was about 3 months. So by getting it down to 6 weeks, it means we can save, potentially mortgage payments, different costs. And whoever you use for the refurb, make sure you have time constraints in there or time bonuses for the speed in which they get it done. Make sure, like a lot of contractors, they give you a really cheap quote to win the business, but then out of the woodwork will come £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 when they're going through the refurbs. You need to work with people you trust. Again, make sure they understand. You have to understand first, and we teach you this, or we can teach you this, but then you need to teach the refurb company the minimum room sizes, smoke alarms, what type of smoke alarms, the legal requirements for a 3-storey house, a 2-storey house, a 5 or 6 bed HMO, 7 bed plus, what type of furniture you need to put in the property, which is really important. You'll learn how to add space. We'll touch on that later. Again, the build will come down to the individual council. In some local councils we work with, on a 6-bedroom HMO, you only need 2 bathrooms. In others, you need 2 bathrooms and a cloakroom. In others, you need 3 bathrooms. Some councils, if you have more than 4 bathrooms in a HMO, you could be liable for council tax in every room. So it's really important you know what you're doing before you think about the build and before you work on the build. And then you want to look at things like the internet. We now put Cat 6 in all our HMOs, and the gardens and what you can do with the gardens. We're quite clever, simple things, but we now put an awning in the back of every HMO. So in the winter or the summer, there's a nice area in the shade or out of the rain where people can chill or have cigarettes, because people do smoke. So we provide that area. And that works really well. So there's so much we can teach you about the build, but just trying to touch on some of those things for you tonight. Choosing your area. This is probably this is something you want to spend a lot of time on. You really want to, once you've got your education, you've got your foundations, you understand what you're doing, choosing your area is really important. And obviously, if your demographic or your tenant type is going to be key workers, if it's going to be council tenants, if it's going to be students, or if it's going to be professionals, that's going to have fundamental effect on what area you choose and why. So things that you're going to have to look for. I mean, we've got a list of over 30, but just to give you some ideas: transport links, okay, in Reading, an area in Berkshire that we invest in, Mark, Jackie and I. It's good for professionals and people commuting from London, because you can go from Reading to Paddington in 22 minutes now. Local amenities, universities and colleges if you're looking for teachers or students. Employment, is employment high? Are there lots of blue chip companies? Hospitals and healthcare if you're working with key workers. Social attractions, local demographics. There's lots of different websites out there now where you can go on and research the demographics of an area. And the crime rate, we love looking at the crime rate in different areas with our mentees. It's good fun, and you just need to find out as much as you can about different areas. If there's 6 agents in an area, estate agents in an area, don't speak to 2, speak to all 6 and gather all the information from all 6, okay, and then take the mean, the average of what they tell you to give you a good understanding. Obviously, you need to consider Article 4, the different types of covenants that are out there. And there's so much you need to consider, but again, they're probably some of the main things. Obviously, what comes after choosing the right area is choosing the right property. This is definitely where I made mistakes early on, for sure. Obviously, you know, no one knew that the minimum room size was going to change to 6.5 square meters. But let's be honest, if you think of a bedroom at 6 square meters, that is tiny. How can somebody potentially live in there, have a desk in there, have good storage in there? It's very, very difficult. So a lot of investors really didn't take into consideration how small some of their rooms were, or were doing single rooms. When legislation changed, they had to look at the layout of the house and think, can we change this? Is it going to be worth it financially? If not, we're going to have to sell it, or we're going to have to run an illegal HMO and potentially be fined, which a lot of people are doing, but they can't now. So just when you're choosing the right property, make sure the layout is right. I always look, when I look at the layout of a property, I look for a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. The local councils love me and the way that we work, because, and the way that we teach people to work with HMOs is buy a HMO house that can be turned into a HMO. You can add value turning it into a HMO, but at the same time, you're adding value as a family home, and you're keeping a layout so it can still work as a family home. Firstly, it will add more value to bricks and mortar. Secondly, it will be easier to sell if and when you ever need to sell. Thirdly, local councils love it. They really like it. We've never been refused a license with one of our mentees. They've always been taught how to get the licenses through. And that's because we work with the councils and we choose the right property, and we work with the right properties that can give us a plan A, B, and C. So if you just look on the left, my left, the nice new looking house against the house on the right, a lot of people would probably think instantly that the nice new looking house is going to be a better HMO. Prettier, more appealing. But when I actually went to view the properties and saw the floor plans, the newer house, 2 of the bedrooms were only 6.1 square metre, and there was no way we could change the rooms because they were next to each other to make them bigger. So the rooms were too small anyway. And a lot of the newer houses since the 1990s, they've got 1 or 2 really small bedrooms, which don't lend themselves to HMOs. And the way that new houses are built, it's very, very difficult to add additional value and change the layout to add value, to add something to the house. The house on the right, firstly, it was about 150 grand cheaper to buy. We downstairs where the old cloakroom was, and a cupboard behind it, we take the cupboard out, we make it a shower room, good for a HMO, and it also adds value as a house. Upstairs, it had the old airing cupboard. The old airing cupboard we took out, we put an additional shower in. So we've now got a house with 3 showers and a bathroom. So we've added value as a house, and it now lends itself to a HMO. I think I can show you a floor plan later, but we can get 6 bedrooms out of that as well. So the yield's better, the return on the capital employed is better, and the capital appreciation will be better because we're adding value, and there's more of them. So choosing the right property is really, really important. Any questions on that, or are we all right to move on? We good? Excellent. So yeah, Article 4 and covenants. This is something that's more and more people are familiar with, and you can find a lot of this out from your local council. Article 4, it's normally adopted in university towns. I can use Reading as an example because it's an area we're active in. Reading has got a nice big university, and there are a lot of HMOs back in 10, 12 years when we got into HMOs, because a lot of people relate HMOs to students because that's where it all really began. And a lot of HMOs, they weren't licensed, they weren't furnished well, they weren't decorated well, they would have a number of students in, and it wasn't regulated or controlled. Students would be having parties. There's nothing wrong with this, by the way, but if you can just picture students having parties, there could be lots of rubbish built up outside. So you've got noise pollution, potentially rubbish pollution, and because they weren't regulated, these HMOs were scattered anywhere. So there are areas in Reading with 500 or 600 grand houses where 95% of those homeowners were families with 3 or 4 children, and then smack bang in the middle, you'd have had someone who inherited a house and just converted it into a HMO, and it doesn't really fit. So Article 4 was brought in so the local council could control what HMOs were going where and to whom and why, make sure they were licensed, and also make sure they were in control of where they are. Article 4 areas now mean that you cannot have a HMO in that area unless you apply for planning permission, it goes through the council, and they give you full permission. So Article 4 can be a big no-no, and you need to do your research and find out what your Article 4 areas are locally. Covenants is something completely different, and covenants again are different in every local town. And I've come across around about 27 different types of covenants over the years. And one by one, they stumbled me. We had fall-throughs, we had different complications. So we educated ourselves on the different types of covenants. We spoke to judges, we've now got really good solicitors that understand the different types of covenants. And there are some covenants which will not allow you to title split, or will not allow you to have a HMO of any shape or form, even a 4-bed. And there are other covenants where you can. And although that can be a disadvantage, with the right knowledge, it can be a massive advantage, because there's areas we operate in where there are covenants that scare investors off, which are actually okay and are fine for HMOs. So it's almost defending an area. So once you get knowledgeable about covenants, it can be a massive benefit for you and help you invest in areas with not many HMOs, because not many people have that knowledge. And again, if you come and you work with Mark, Jackie and I, then we will share a lot of our team with you, our solicitors that work with us on these sorts of things. That was it on the Article 4 and the covenants. A couple of case studies. Mark, do you want to run through some of these?
Jackie, you're going to?
Yeah, I'll run through this one. Yeah. Well, this is a property from one of our mentees. It's in Guildford. They run a very successful rent-to-rent business and actually achieve top room rates for the area. It came to them through a lettings agent. Well, it didn't come to them. They worked hard to get it, basically. They took it, you can see, from it's just a standard family home, and they've turned it into an HMO. And if Mark can give me the figures. Okay. They don't own the asset because it's on a rent-to-rent, as we've just said. And Peter alluded earlier to the minimum costs for setup. The couple that this house is managed by, their setup costs they keep to around £3,000 to £5,000 per property. They never have voids in this area. They actually do go the extra mile. If they have a customer, as we like to call them, coming to view the room, they will, or not necessarily view, but if they've accepted the room and they're moving in, they'll arrange to come and help them move their bits and pieces in. So it's, you know, they go the extra mile, but they certainly keep their rooms filled. On this particular, yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry, go on, Jackie.
On this particular property, their net cash flow after all costs is £1,200. Now, remember, they don't own this, so you don't want to be, you know, putting the refurb costs in that Peter's just mentioned, because it's not yours. They'll get the landlord who owns this property to spend the money to bring it up to, if it needs to be licensed, up to licensable standard. Did you want to add something, Peter?
I was just going to say, this just reminded me of some mentees that we worked with. You and Mark were already working with them when I joined PMA and joined you guys, and then I had the pleasure of working with them as well. But I think it's a quick story worth mentioning, Jackie, because they didn't have much money, but they did rent to rent properly, and they turned their lives around. So it can be done, can't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. When we first mentored this couple, and they won't have a problem with me sharing this, they were in £65,000 worth of credit card debts. And within 12 months, they turned that round to netting, pure netting, £12,000 a month cash flow.
Amazing.
They worked extremely hard, and it wasn't easy, but they did as they were told and taught, and you know they achieved an enormous success.
Yeah, I think it's worth adding that you know, it was the mindset, and you know, I've seen a few comments in the questions which we will answer later, but not having any money was not an excuse for this couple, because they had no money. They went and found it. And I think when your desire is high enough, you will find a way. And I think it's the way you view things. If you view things with a closed mind of, oh, I can't do that because I can't afford it, then you never will. But if you look at it from a different perspective and say, well, hey, how can I do that? Your mind will open up to opportunities, and you will start to find things that perhaps you hadn't seen before. They're already there. Not saying anything's different. It's just you've not seen them yet because your mind was not looking for them. And with this particular couple, they did exactly what we told them to do. And as Jackie's just said, the success they had in a very, very short space of time as well, because they worked bloody hard for it.
Just to support that, Mark, as well, I think it's relevant to today, because I think with what we're all going through and what we're all going to continue to go through over the next 6 to 12 months, it's uncharted, it's frightening, it's scary, and it is. And a lot of people don't like hearing about opportunities and, you know, looking at it from a positive point of view, but you can. And if you've got money over the next 6 to 12 months, there's never been a better opportunity to get out there and educate yourself so you can go and buy property and do deals. If you haven't got stacks of money, I tell you, over the next 6 months, there is never going to be a better opportunity to do rent to rent ever. There never will be, because you're going to get properties that landlords just can't sell, or they can't afford to accept offers which will allow them to sell. So they will consider rent to rents, where 3 or 4 months ago they just wouldn't have entertained it. You're going to get single let properties where landlords can't rent them and they panic. And when they panic, they're going to be more susceptible and open to listening to investors and doing rent to rents. And I think that's what we're excited about teaching people, is how to make the most of the next 6 to 12 months, whether you've got cash in the bank or whether you've got a small amount of money to invest. The opportunity is there, and it's just how you look at it. You can look at it as opportunity, or you can also look at it for what we all have done. Yeah, it's really scary times at the moment. But what was it Warren Buffett said, Mark? You're a better Warren Buffett quoter than me. Could you remember?
Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful.
Absolutely.
So, and that's where we're at. That's the stages we're at in the market. We're in unprecedented times where we've never had anything like this, apart from during war, the First and Second World War, where the economy.
Which Mark remembers, but I don't.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I'm not that bloody old. But it's Second World War, First World War, where the economy shrunk and there was a break in lots of activities. Now, they didn't stop in the First and Second World War. But unlike now, where essentially the property market's almost come to a total standstill. There are some transactions happening, but there's no construction happening, or very little. There's very few people moving. So it's something we've never happened before. And once the lockdown is lifted, that's going to change quite dramatically, and you need to be ready to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Okay, this is another Mentee case study. This one's in a different part of the country, in Hull. It came from an estate agent. Again, as you can see, it's it's a typical terraced property, family home. So it was not up to HMO standards. And Ben, our mentee, bought this for £60,000. Spent $25,000 on refurbing it. Now, at the time, whilst it sleeps 5 people, sorry, it didn't need an HMO license, but he refurbed it to the standard that is proper to HMO license standard, because in 2018, as Peter's just mentioned, when the new legislation came out to say that any 5-bedroom property needs to be licensed, this was all ready to rock and roll, basically. So there's a lesson there. If you're, we're going to talk about some student lets a bit later on. If you're doing HMOs where you don't have 5 customers in the property, it's still worth doing them to the license standard, because eventually, they all will. It will become part of the legislation. Anyway, sorry, it's me on my high horse there. He bought this for £60,000, paid £25,000 to refurb it. It was revalued at £100,000. And the reason that we show you this is because Ben was an overseas investor. Whilst he had the money, he didn't have the capability to get a mortgage. So he JV'd with a partner. He put up the money. So basically, when all of the money comes out of this, or the JV partner, basically, the return on investment is infinite. So there you go, no cash in. I don't know if that made sense there, but Ben put the money in, the JV got the mortgage, and they split the equity and the cash flow. So the JV partner had no cash in the deal, so his return on investment was infinite. And these deals are out there if you know what to look for and who to network with. Part of your power team, as Peter's mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Okay.
Back over to you, Peter.
Yes, so this was another one of our mentees, Martin Littleboy. I met Martin on a networking event, and then he came to one of our 2-day events, and then signed up for our 12-month mentorship. He's been one of our most successful mentees. He's great. He's doing lots of things in development now, and he's a bit of an inspiration. But this was one of his first deals. We helped him source it. We converted it to a HMO the right way, way above legislation standard. The purchase price was 286,000. It'd been on the market, it'd fallen through, it came back on the market at 315. We offered 280, and then we agreed 286 with him. And when I say we, Martin would bring the deal to our weekly, what we do now is Zooms, but we also do weekly mentor meetings, and we'd phone the estate agent and negotiate in the room and show him how we negotiate. So it was good fun. The refurb was just under 40 grand. The value of that property following the refurb was 350. So you can see there we've added immediately over 60 grand equity. And I'll talk about the rental numbers and the last 60 months, which have been amazing. So the annual income is over £37,000. That's one property. I mean, these houses are going up to 350 now, in good condition, up to 375. Net cash flow after all costs, £1,600 a month. And Martin wrote the three of us a really nice review. For the last 16 months, his void period has been 0. He's had it fully tenanted for 16 months and no void periods, which is remarkable, really. And it's because of the area. It's because the area he chose and the standard of HMO that we helped him deliver. So yeah, again, another similar property converted into the HMO exactly the same way. Purchase price, that was earlier in the year, and you can see similar figures. Purchase price 282, refurb was just over 41, value 360. This one's worth more. You can see why. It's a corner plot, so it's not a terrace, it's a corner plot. It's got a bigger back garden and it's got side access. So immediate equity of over 70 grand, annual income of nearly 40 grand. And if you understand these numbers, then you'll start to understand what I meant earlier. Good yield, good return on investment, good return on capital, capital appreciation is ticking all the boxes. Over £1,600 net profit cash flow per month. There you go. 18% ROI, 28% return on capital. Put your hand up if that seems like good numbers. I'm hoping everyone's got their hand up. I can't see. But again, we teach you how to source these deals, how to find these deals, how to get these numbers. We can teach you how to do that. Thanks, Mark. Did you want to add? Was there a question, Mark?
Sorry, mate. I was on mute. I was trying to. Yeah, just a quick question from Tom. He said, on these examples, are you or would you advise on pulling the immediate equity straight out for repeat investment?
Oh, good question. For me, it's difficult because a lot of people will want to get their money out immediately. I'd like to think how we teach is, I think it's a realistic timescale to take your money out, try to take your money out, plan to take your money out after 2 years. After 2 years, you can look back and you can see the void period, the income generated. It will give you a good idea on what the market's done, where the market is going. Obviously, no one saw COVID-19 coming, but to some extent, it will help you gauge where the market is and where it's going. And then you can sensibly take that money out and reinvest it. Yes, it's possible on those numbers to take some money out after 6 months, so you could take a higher advance out after a year. But personally, I wouldn't teach you to do that. Would you agree, guys?
Yeah, I think it's, it depends on the circumstances, and each deal is different. Each area is going to be different, and I think it's the view we would take. If you're working with us, it's just the view we would take at the time for that particular deal. I think I think it's difficult to give a hard and fast rule, but yeah, similar kind of thing.
I think the rule is just to be sensible and not take the money out irresponsibly, but we would never let you do that. Okay, so for me, again, from my experience, which I like to teach, this is what I'm passionate about, just seeing opportunity, maximizing every opportunity. So we could teach you how to buy the same house that somebody else bought, but make more money for income, add more value to the property, sell it for more money if you want to sell it. You know, you've got to maximise every opportunity. So standing out from the competition in every possible way, from the quality of refurb, the rooms, the quality of furniture, add value at every possibility, cloakrooms into toilets and bathrooms, airing cupboards, wasted space into showers. And we renovated a house about a month ago, and in one of the bedrooms we saw where they'd built on under the eaves, they just boxed over, and we pulled all the old woodwork out, and we created about a metre of space. Again, we turned a 6.5 square metre room into a nearly 7 square metre room. So it's just adding value, maximising every ounce of space you can, because it's all money at the end of the day. Yeah, make money now in the future. I think what I mean by that is when I analyse a property, I'm looking at how much money that can make me today, how much money that can make me in 2 years, how much money that can make me in 5 years, how much money that can make me in 10 years. And for me, if you're going to build a portfolio, if you're looking to have long-term wealth as well as short-term wealth, for example, then you want to look at an area which prices are going to appreciate, or properties and the property market is going to evolve, or regeneration is going on. So you can make that money in the future as well. For me, the future is high quality and convenience. I think everything every year improves. If you look at the standards of HMOs that I've seen over the last 12 years, every year standards improve, competition improves. So you've got to get better and better. Legislation gets harder. So I think that the future is higher quality and convenience, really important. People just want to move in and just go. Choose your area carefully. You'll hear me say that a lot. Choose your customer carefully. There's no point me choosing professional tenants as my tenant type if I don't enjoy working with them. So work with a tenant type you're going to enjoy working with. So just some pictures and examples of maximising opportunity. You can see on my left, your right, perhaps, that bathroom. That's a sort of standard we do the bathroom to. We like to use Carndean flooring. It's well priced. It's really good quality. It's really good wearing. It will last for years. You can see that shower there. That was an airing cupboard. So we've taken the airing cupboard out. We've made the bigger bathroom. We've actually put a shower cubicle as well as a bath in there. And then just the other picture, you can just see the sort of basic standard of kitchen breakfast room we use, but just using that space as the back as a nice communal area. You can see there's a nice digital television on the wall, our house rules, etc. Just the quality of the bedrooms and how we maximise the quality of bedrooms, and all our mentees that are working with professional tenants will follow this type of standard, and Jackie will show you a similar one for students in a little bit. But you can see good quality furniture, lots of storage, built-in wardrobes, digital televisions, desk and chairs. There was a small conservatory on the back of that house. We turned it into a drawing room for that bedroom. I think we get $650 for that bedroom, which is one of the most expensive in the area. And it's just quite cool. So yeah, we're just maximising the bedroom space and improving it however we can. There's some more examples. That small picture of the dryer on the right there, in some of the 1960s houses we work in, they've got these quirky little understairs storage cupboards outside, which are locked up. So we convert them into laundry rooms, which is quite cool. And we have I forgot the name, but the awning coming down, so even in the rain they can get outside and they can do their laundry. It doesn't make a racket in the kitchen. It doesn't make any damp, and it's just quite a cool feature to the property and making use of dead space, really. Yeah, I think whatever demographic, whatever area, whatever type of property you choose, do it right. If you do it right, you're always going to fill your HMOs. We had one in Winnersh that we filled in a 6-bed filled in a week earlier this year. You should have less than 5% void periods if you do it properly. You should get profit of up to 18 grand a year on one property if you do it properly. You should be able to add 10% value to a property. Again, if you do it properly, if you follow Mark, Jackie and my formula. And invest in areas, you could invest in areas that could double over the next decade. Have amazing clients, and less maintenance costs. What I mean by that is we call tenants clients because we have a duty of care to them. We look after them, and we'd like to think we look at them as clients, not tenants. Their service is better. We choose the type of tenant better, and we have less maintenance costs, less voids, so that benefits us. Happy household is a happy investment, basically. With all our HMOs, we teach to manage them on a WhatsApp group, as well as other ways, but not many people do. But it means you're in constant communication with all your tenants within that HMO all at once. You can communicate. If there's an issue, you can nip it in the bud. If you want to communicate with them, you can. If they want to communicate with you, they can. And it just really, really works well. So this is a case study that we work with through HMO Premier, one of our clients. We sourced it, renovated it, managed it, and rented it out. It's just a nice case study to show you how we added value and give you some nice numbers. So that's what the house looked like. Oh, sorry, just quickly go back to the last slide, Mark, apologies. So that's what the house looked like to begin with. Small garden at the front. That was a sort of small pokey dining room on the other picture that led into a quite dark, dingy conservatory. Then you can see a really, I mean, it's bizarre on a 4-bed detached house to have a kitchen that small. Absolute madness. And then that's the living room on the right. So this is the floor plan. So once I viewed before I viewed the house, the first thing I look at is the floor plan. After I viewed the property, you then really want to sit down with your refurb guys and you want to plan how you're going to plan out that HMO. So Mark, Jackie, and I would look at this floor plan with a Mentee. I looked at this floor plan. I thought, right, how do I improve it? So I thought that kitchen's tiny. I'm going to knock that kitchen dining room through. I'm going to knock that kitchen dining room through to the conservatory to give a really nice open plan, eating area, community area, communal area, if you like. And then if you have a look in the utility room, again, it's a huge utility room. It's nearly as big as the kitchen. Madness. So we made that a small utility room, and then we put a shower and a cloakroom in there. Again, adding value to the property. All these changes are adding value to the property, improving it as a HMO, and improving the resale value or the remortgage value at a later stage. We then had a challenge where you see the living room. That looks like an obvious bedroom, but then how do you get to the kitchen dining room? So we put up a wall which went up and split the living room and created a new corridor between the stairs and the living room or bedroom 1, which went straight into the kitchen. And then the family room became a bedroom as well. So we had 2 big bedrooms downstairs. And then upstairs, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 nice bedrooms, one with an ensuite, which is a £700 room, and then 3 additional bedrooms. There was one 3.2 by 2.1. It was just a bit too small. So we took a bit of a next room. We moved the wall back just to make them all really good size rooms. So all those changes we made it a better house, better family home, and a fantastic HMO. And I can show you some of the after pictures next. So you can see there, the front shot, immediately we've added value, how we got rid of the garden, we paved it, and you can see where we paved it, 2 additional parking spaces, probably added 20 grand value to the house. And then here you can see the old pokey kitchen, which we've knocked through, made it a really nice quality kitchen. And you can see all the facilities that we put into it, and we just put some nice wall glass up, adding value to the house, adding value as a HMO, no brainer. And then that's where it went through to the conservatory. We took all the doors away and it followed through, and we just put some cool wall art. We always do something quirky and different in each HMO, and it's nice if you're going to build a portfolio of HMOs, you want to make them different and you want to make them unique. It's more fun, it's going to appeal to more tenants. But again, hopefully you'll pick that up from working with us. Thanks, Mark. And you can see just the quality of fire doors. The quality of fire door, we spend about £600 on a fire door, including all the fittings, including the carpentry. And it does take, a carpenter can probably do 2 to 3 in a day done properly. You can get cheaper fire doors, But again, you've got to make sure that they're minimum standard, because a lot of old fire doors have had to come out. And there's just another example of how we present our rooms. And then you can see on the third picture, this is an idea Mark, Jackie and I had, which just when we started using it, works so well. And we started having house rules around the house. So in each bedroom, house rules, in the laundry rules, it just gives them everything they need, from Wi-Fi to when the bins are being done to recycling. And it just gets the tenants in our frame of mind and working with us. And it just works really, really well. And when a tenant moves in, there's a bottle of nice Malbec and a box of chocolates, again, just so we get off on the right foot and the tenant knows that we're looking to work with them. We're good landlords. Here's some chocolates and wine. You abide by my rules. So these are the numbers on this one. And these are real numbers. This is a recent HMO. We purchased the property for £369,000. It was on the market with Romans, an estate agent. It was on for too much money. They chanced their arm. They went to auction because they put it on for too much money. I think it was $450. They never sold it. Personal circumstances then changed. And we have a sell for free today, which is an online estate agency, which we can teach you how to set up. She contacted us for our social media advertising. We went around to Value. She said, look, I need a quick sale. How much will you pay for a really quick sale? We offered 360 and we agreed 369 eventually. The refurb was 47 grand. New valuation 6 months later, less than 6 months later, 525 grand. By carefully refurbing it, exactly how I showed you, the layout, the rooms, the furniture, the quality. So we forced capital. We didn't wait for the market to go up. We forced capital, buying it below market value and adding value of over £150,000. Beautiful deal. Income over £40,000 just per year. Profit just under half. 20 grand profit in a year, which is it's fantastic really for it. It's a big HMO. We rented all the rooms in a week on that as well. It's in a really good area for professional tenants. To get that sort of deal now would be quite difficult, but you know, over the next 3 or 4 months they're going to come up again. So 11% yield, 24% return on capital, and some people just look for a yield. Some people will look for return on capital, and we teach you to understand what you want, because everybody is different. Everybody wants something else from a deal, or something that some people just go for yield. And if you're just going for yield, you want to invest up north. Some people just look to add value and go for appreciation. I guess I like a combination of all of those things. It safeguards the property and the investment, gives you more options, and I'd expect that property in 3 years to be worth at least 600 grand.
Just a couple of quick questions, Peter. Where was this HMO?
Never you mind. No, it was in
we're just saying in Berkshire.
It was in Berkshire. It was in one of my areas. We work heavily in Berkshire. Good question.
Were the bills included? I think they are, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Again, because we're working with professionals, they want quality and they want speed and they want everything to be easy and simple. So we make everything as simple as possible. Convenience now, I think, is the biggest selling commodity in any business. So it's all about convenience for the client.
Are FD30s mandatory in a 2-story HMO? So I'm assuming, for those that don't understand that's the fire doors.
Yeah, but they are on a 5 or 6 bedroom HMO plus, not on a 4-bedroom HMO. No.
Yeah.
And that changed in October 2018.
How many HMO rooms were in that one, Peter?
6.
6. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 and 3 bathrooms.
What else? And did it include? So the bills include council tax, don't they? Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yeah. And TV license. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. I'll answer this one. A couple of questions on yield. So some of you not understanding what yield means. A very simple example. Okay, if you take a property that's worth £100,000 and let's say the income from it is £10,000, then your yield is 10%. That's essentially what yield equation is. Right, it's a very simplistic view of it, but just to give you a basic understanding of what we're talking about. Okay. All right, let's move on. This is over to you, Jackie.
Okay. All right, so Peter's shown you the standard of his properties for professional workers. Now, not everybody is going to go for professionals. There's a lot of student accommodation required throughout the country. We're going to show you a property that one of our mentees, basically he only lets to student customers, and he only works in the Coventry area. Now, this is a live case study of his. As you can see, it's you know, it's quite a standard terrace Victorian property. 3 bedrooms, I think, 4 bedrooms. Okay. Now, he purchased this for 110,000 and actually spent 15,000 on the refurb. Now, that's particularly high for him because he put another loo on the top floor. So his deposit was £22,000. He used 80%, I think it was with Kent Reliance when he did this. And he had a JV partner who happened to be his aunt, who said, I can lend you £50,000 to get you started. And he said, okay, I'll offer you 8% return. She said, no, you don't need to do that. You know, just pay me back when you can. So he took the 50,000 and built himself a nice little portfolio, actually. Can we go on to the next numbers, please, Mark? Yeah, there we go. He's added the loo on the first floor. Now, he's got quite a niche market, actually, because he only ever rents to 4 students, no less, no more. Now, he doesn't need licensing. And as Peter mentioned earlier, a lot of student areas around the unis will have Article 4 in place. So Gavin actually is a little bit further out than the Article 4, but he doesn't need a license for these particular properties anyway. So, and you look at that £70 per week per person, doesn't sound a lot, but if we look at what he actually does to properties. Now, this is this particular house, and you can see it's fairly mediocre, isn't it? Typical of student houses in that area. So let's have a look what he does to them. There you go. Now, this is quite unusual for student houses. We have got another mentee who works out of Durham, but he does his properties for postgrad students, and again he does them almost to Peter's standard that he's just shown you, because they are demanding that type of property. But Gavin actually has a waiting list for students, because as you can imagine, if you know one of the students invites mate round for a glass of vino or a beer, they walk over the threshold in this one and say, wow, our property's not like this at all. So, you know, it's not difficult to do this. All of the furnishings that you see here are from IKEA. They're not expensive, so he doesn't spend anywhere near what Peter does on his. However, the wear and tear will dictate that he replaces beds and certain items of furniture a lot sooner than ever Peter would in the professional HMOs.
I still think that's, I mean, for student accommodation though, I think that was outstanding, and it just goes to show if you do it to the highest standard of any market, you'll always have a waiting list.
Absolutely, you know, and Coventry at the moment has an awful lot of empty student properties, and Gavin has a waiting list literally for as soon as they become available, he fills his properties. So quick numbers on this then. His mortgage is 330. His MO money, which is monthly operating expenses, is £80 a month. And we mentioned his aunt, who is his JV partner, his 8% is £246. His rent-in is £1,212, so his cash flow is £556. Now, if you look at those numbers, these are more affordable if you don't have too much to start off with. Peter's strategy is looking for 100+ K to start with. This is considerably less, so it's something that you may want to consider if the professionals and that standard is out of your reach just at this point in time.
But that's the great thing about HMOs. You can invest 150 grand, or you can invest 40 grand, 50 grand, and you can get your money's worth. It works.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's just go back to the questions then. Go back up here because there's quite a few.
Excellent.
Before we go on, is everyone enjoying this so far? If you could just put a comment in the box, it'd be great for the feedback. Make sure and also confirm you are actually listening, of course. Let's go to that. Nice comment from Ash Patel saying, guys, I know a lot of property training companies out there, but you guys seem to be honest and genuine.
Thank you, Ash.
Thank you.
I'll be honest. I said it at the beginning. That's why I started working with Mark and Jackie, because they're absolutely lovely people, and they've got the patience of saints, and we just work together, and we all love what we do, and we like helping people. And I think to us it's about helping people and seeing people's success. I mean, Mark and Jackie haven't mentioned, but I mean, we've had 6 or 7 of our mentees and students over the years that have won Investor of the Year awards, and that probably gives us more gratification than anything else, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So thank you.
So Angad, you're asking if it's possible to get an HMO for £50,000 investment, and you've mentioned Reading, Angad. I don't know Reading, but I would doubt you'd get an HMO in Reading for a 50k deposit, Peter, or 50k overall.
What you could do is you could network, meet a like-minded human being to yourself who you like, who's also got 50 or 60 grand, and do a joint venture. And we can teach you how to find the people to do a joint venture. We can teach you how to have the agreements to do a joint venture. So yeah, you can, not on your own, not with just 50 grand, but we can help you turn that 50 grand into an HMO for sure.
Manny, yeah, we do have a number of spreadsheets and tools that we use for all of the different strategies. We don't make those publicly available. They're only really available to people that on our mentorship program, I'm afraid. So unfortunately, it's not something we can share.
Not yet. We may be able to share it with you tomorrow if you hang on a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Peter Stone, how would you future-proof against council charging council tax per room?
Okay, so good question. For me, the way I do that is I do 6-bedroom HMOs with 4 bathrooms, and it's only ever been tested in different areas across the UK. If you have 5 or 6 bathrooms en suites in a 6-bed HMO, you could, I say could, be liable for council tax in every room. Okay, if you stick to 4 bathrooms on, and even throughout COVID-19, we surveyed all our tenants. We've got a high number of tenants by Whitehorse, one of our managing agents and business partners, and we asked all the tenants would they be happy with sharing a bathroom with one other person, and they all said yes. So a lot of the time you can look at putting en suites in every room, but you're not actually going to get much more money than having a bathroom for 2 rooms. Providing you do the rooms to a really high standard. We find people would rather digital smart televisions in rooms, desks, chairs, bigger rooms. So for me, that's the way we do it. I know a couple of guys that I met about 7 years ago in Reading. They came, they asked for advice. I gave it to them. They didn't take it. They went away. They built a portfolio of about 6 properties, 4 of which had 6 bedrooms and 6 en suites. And about a year later, they were slapped council tax on every single room. This is Reading, this is near to me. And they had to sell 4 of their portfolio, so they were losing money. And what happens when you've got a property of 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms en suites? It's not easy to sell. it's not even a family home anymore. So you've either got to reconvert it or try and sell it to an investor, but doesn't mind making 400 quid a month profit. That's why it can be very difficult, and that's why you need to be very careful with the decisions that you make.
And it's, you know, down to your research as well. I mean, I saw a guy, I saw something posted on one of the social forums, and he hadn't done any research really. He'd done a refurb, converting a property into every single room was en suite, only to discover once it all done that the council were going to charge council tax per room. And if he'd done his research beforehand, he would have known. So it just goes to show you, it really is down to understanding what you're supposed to do, and that's where we can help you. Right, Jackie, there's a guy Ashley asking, which platforms would you guys use to advertise rooms for students?
Yeah, we used to use, I don't know if it's still in existence, but it was something like findyourtenant.com. Now, if you provided them with photographs of the properties, they would do all of the advertising, the referencing, the credit checks, and they would just literally send the tenants along. Now, we had a couple of student lets in the Farnham area, and for 7 years we had them. We never ever had to advertise anywhere else other than on this portal. And I believe they still are in existence because I've had the odd email from them. But they literally do everything for you.
Yeah.
But otherwise you can pop into the uni yourself and put cards on the notice board, because seriously, guys, that we never ever had a void in 7 years with 8 rooms ever.
Yeah, Manny's asking, he wants to operate within Birmingham, as there are so many already saturated areas for HMOs and lots of management companies already operating there. As part of my research to pick an area to start generating cash flow, would be good to see all the things to look out for. I think we've covered quite a few of those, Manny. I mean, clearly, there's a number of different things, and we haven't, unfortunately, got time on the webinar tonight to go through absolutely everything. But the slide that Peter went through earlier kind of gives you a bit of an indication of what's possible.
We've got a process you follow as well, and if you follow it, you'll never make those mistakes ever. You'll never choose an area that will not deliver the tenants that you need.
Question from Raoul. Not sure who wants to answer this one. Do I need 2 or 3 standard buy-to-let properties before I can jump onto HMOs to increase my passive income? Or can I guess he's asking, can you do HMOs straight away?
That's the great thing. That's the great thing. You can jump on HMOs straight away. You don't need history. We'll teach you how to do that. We'll put you in touch with one of our power team, Gerardo, who works with a lot of our investors on HMOs. If you work with us, which we'll talk about in a minute, but that's the beauty of HMOs. You don't need previous experience as a landlord.
Question from Richard, who's actually not on here anymore, but I'll ask it anyway because there are other people still listening. It's around rent to rent. Does the landlord need to change his mortgage from standard buy-to-let to an HMO type mortgage? Short answer to that is yes. It's up to the landlord to be compliant. He should check with his lender with what's being proposed for the property, and it is likely that the lender will ask him to change product.
And you'll need a license as well. You will need, 3 years ago you didn't need a HMO license to do a rent to rent. You do now, and that's important.
Right, it's Ross. Okay.
Some good questions.
So I'm just going to scroll down some of the questions here I've answered. I'm just getting rid of them. Answered that one. That one.
Time for one more?
Yeah, I'm just I think this is probably a rent-to-rent related question, which they're not really
happy to answer it.
I've answered all those ones. Done that one. Done that one. are bungalows a good property options for HMOs?
Yes, anything is. Anything is. It's you look at that opportunity on its own merit. But yeah, bungalows can make fantastic HMOs. And of course, with bungalows, you can add massive value to the property as well. Lots of opportunity. Love a bungalow.
And Lorna was asking, what was that flooring you used? Because I don't think it came out too
Called
well.
Cardine flooring. Cardine flooring. Yeah, it's really well. It's really durable. It's a bit more expensive than your hardwood or your quality lino, but it lasts forever. Everything washes off. It looks amazing. Cardine flooring.
Quick question, Jackie. Ross is asking, how much cash flow should be kept back for each house for maintenance, etc.?
Good question. If you have refurbed your property from day one, you're likely to have less maintenance issues. But we would strongly recommend that you put into a separate deposit account a minimum for an HMO of 10 to 15% of your rent collected each month. You can build that up. You just have to remember, if a boiler goes, then that's a huge expense. So if you've got a pot, a safety pot, then your maintenance issues and any voids are covered by your by that pot, basically. So 10 to 15% of rent collected.
Awesome.
And just last one on the students there, which I can answer that one actually, because that's one of the questions I do know the answers to. So you're asking whether they're on a single tenancy or separate tenancies. It does vary, to be honest with you, Ashley. Generally speaking, students will be on one tenancy. They often come as a group, and you let the house out as a group, and it does differentiate a different type of HMO, whether they're on one tenancy or on separate tenancies. Okay, and there's different regulations and different safety procedures that apply to one tenancy student accommodation and multiple tenancy student accommodation. And then some feedback. So everybody's enjoying it, loving it. Yes, amazing value. Thank you. Really good. Thank you. Very informative. Lots of interesting points. Brilliant. Okay, guys. Now we promised at the beginning there'd be a bonus at the end, and we're just going to go through a couple of things now. So if you hold on, we've got probably another 10 or 15 minutes, which we did say we aim to finish by about 9 o'clock. So let's just carry on, and then if we've got time at the very end, we'll take a few more questions. So Peter mentioned at the very outset that we were launching the PMA Property Mentor Elite online and personal program. I just want to give you a few details of that tonight, and then give you an opportunity to come and join us. So it's a 6-month mentorship, which includes, first of all, it's a brand new support program with direct access to the 3 of us and the full PMA team and network. It's our first one, and probably our only online mastermind type program with immediate support and mentoring. What I mean by immediate is this program will start within the next week. We provide weekly live Zoom face-to-face conferencing, which you get a minimum of 2 hours with the weekly Q&A, support and guidance on all strategies. So mentorship and education are combined, but also different. Mentorship is very much about learning and doing, whereas education is learning. And we cover very much the doing, it's the accountability. So you also get a free property webinar every 2 weeks. So this is the very first one we've done. As Peter mentioned right at the very outset, we are going to be running these every 2 weeks for the foreseeable future. You'll have access to a private accountability group. One of the reasons why mentorship really works is the accountability aspect of it. And when we started out, myself, Jackie, Peter, whilst we all, Peter in particular, had a lot more property experience than Jackie and I, but we still had mentors, and we still have mentors today. And we're very experienced business people. Yes, could we have done it on our own? Possibly, but why wouldn't you learn off some of the best in the industry, and learn from people who've already done it and are continually doing it. I think the really important thing is that myself, Jackie, and Peter, we do this all day long. We're not just teaching, we are investors as well, and we're constantly looking for deals. Those deals you've just seen are recent deals. Certainly the last HMO that Peter showed you was within the past few months. So it shows you that we are actively practicing what we preach, and they're the kind of people that you want to learn from. And it's limited to 20 people. This is purely online. There is no face-to-face. Clearly, we can't do face-to-face anyway because of the current lockdown. But even when the lockdown is finished, there won't be any face-to-face. It'll be just purely an online
Zoom
program.
to Zoom face-to-face.
Yeah, through Zoom. I think there's a new word going in the dictionary. Zooming. I'll be zooming this week. So it's a PMA Property Mentoring online and personal 6-month program. Now, the value of this, and I think can't be really underestimated. When we did our mentorship programs, when we first got into property, myself, Jack, and Peter, we paid in the region of about £40,000 each, and that's a lot of money by any stretch of the imagination. If you were to join our standard face-to-face mentorship program, and there's some of our mentees are on this webinar this evening, you would be paying round about the £20,000 plus mark. And again, that may seem like a lot of money to you, but we give an exceptional amount of value in the mentorship program. And just to prove that, here's a few testimonials from people that we've actually mentored. So Roger. Now Roger was a farmer based up in Norfolk area of the country, had no previous property experience whatsoever, got fed up with farming and decided to sell up and was looking for something to do. He joined the mentorship program, and as you can see there, having completed the PMA mentoring program this year, has been invaluable to my property investing journey, and one that I would fully recommend to others. Such a knowledgeable team in all aspects and always available when advice required. Without doubt, one of the best investments is made.
He's one of my best buddies as well. We've actually become weirdly good friends, but he's done a few HMOs and he's just done them amazingly around Berkshire, around Lincoln. He's done an amazing job.
I think last count was he up to about 6, was it?
7.
7, and that's in just over a year. And we've got Jonathan. Now, Jonathan actually worked for a developer when he joined the mentorship program. He was actually the finance director there. And his reasons, as he says, all successful business owners have mentors. Mark, Jackie, Peter have a wealth of experience between them, not only in the property market, but from also having built up and sold businesses in the past. We don't really talk too much about that tonight, but Peter's been mostly in property and certainly longer than myself and Jackie. Myself and Jackie have run and built a number of companies and sold some of those as well. So we bring not only the property experience, but also the business experience as well, and the businesses that Peter's started as well over the past few years. And that's the primary reason Jonathan joined. He wanted to work with PMA to help him not only be accountable, but also to guide him how to build a business around property. Now, Jonathan was on the mentorship program, has been on the mentorship program probably about within the past 18 months, I think, roughly speaking. He focused very much on development. His first development has a gross development value of just under £10 million. And then lastly, I won't bore you with loads and loads of these, but Martin Littleboy, which Peter's already mentioned, just finished the mentorship, which is a big thank you to all my mentors, Jack, Mark, and Peter. Their help and experience that already allowed me to start joint ventures with others with development and buying HMOs, so it really does work. I truly can say I couldn't have done it without this mentorship program. Thanks again, Martin. So just a few, and we've got several of these guys. I just didn't want to bore you with one after the other all saying the same thing, but you kind of get the message. We offer a lot of value, as I'm sure would be backed up with any of the mentees that are on the webinar this evening. So just to recap, what do you get? It's a 6-month program, totally new support program with direct access to the 3 of us, with access also to some of the others within our team and our network. It's our first and probably only mastermind type program online that will be available immediately, starting within the next week, and the mentoring. There'll be weekly live Zoom face-to-face conferencing, about 2 hours, similar to this evening, with a lot of Q&A and obviously the accountability aspect of it. Support and guidance on all strategies. Then the free property webinar every 2 weeks, where we'll cover a different topic each time. The first one obviously being HMOs this evening, and access to a private accountability group. The accountability is by far the best aspect, in my opinion, of a mentorship program, and something that you know, the likes of us, myself, Jack, and Peter, we find invaluable when we're dealing with our mentor. It's that thing that pushes you forward to do things. I think you guys agree, yeah, Jackie, Peter?
Massively. I would say you're never going to make mistakes with a mentor, and we teach you not to make mistakes rather than stop you from making them, if that makes sense. So we give you the knowledge, the understanding, to go out there and invest with confidence, to choose the right strategy that suits you, your finance, your situation, and not make mistakes. So we make sure that you make your money when you're out there being active and buying property and doing deals. We teach you how to be able to do joint ventures and leverage your knowledge and your understanding. And I think having a mentor is, like Mark says, will make you accountable, so you make that progress on a weekly basis, which I think is really important. And hey, it'd be great fun as well.
Want to add anything, Jackie?
No, just I agree that the accountability is one of the biggest things that pushes. Well, certainly did push us, didn't it? You don't want to let your mentor down. So you know, it's like being in front of the headmaster. Got to get this done.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, guys, that you know, let me give you an analogy, right? If you've, let's say you've got a toothache, okay, and a bad toothache, would you go down to the pub, ask your best mate to go and deal with it, who knows nothing about dentistry? No, you go and find a good dentist, wouldn't you? Someone that knows what they're doing, has experience, is doing it day in, day out to get the problem solved. So don't go down to the pub and speak to your mate about property, unless, of course, he's like us. You want to learn from people who are actually doing it, experts in their field, which we are. And I have no qualms about saying that. We're experts in our field and proud of it.
So,
as I said, limited to 20 people. So, webinar offer exclusively for the attendees this evening for the Property Mentor Elite online personal 6-month program. Just £300 plus VAT per month. Now,
is that a mistake?
I said this. Go on, Peter.
I said, is that a mistake? I can't remember us agreeing that.
It's not a mistake. It's not 20,000. It's not 10,000, 5,000. It's just £300 plus VAT per month. Now, we did say there'd be a bonus, special bonus for those people that hung on to the end and are going to be part of the program. And this is it. So we've got the offer of just £300 plus VAT per month. All right, so over 6 months. The bonus offer, firstly, you will get a copy of the live video of our HMO masterclass for the first 10 people to sign up tonight. And that masterclass was recorded in November last year. Peter, do you want to give them a lowdown of what we covered on the masterclass?
Yeah, so it's a full 1-day HMO masterclass. It's with myself and all of my power team. One of my favourite days of the year when we deliver this training. You'll get to meet Gerardo, our HMO finance expert. You'll get to see and get to know our solicitors, our HMO solicitors. Kevin Crocker, one of our business partners, one of our HMO geeks, the old HMO officer of Reading in Berkshire. And it's a whole day of content on everything you need to know to get started and progress in HMOs and rent to rent and just property in general, to be honest with you. It's an incredible day. I think it was a £600 a day course, and we're giving that completely free of charge for the first 10 people from this evening's webinar that books. Yeah, so completely free of charge. Bargain.
Absolutely.
And
also,
then
your business or life partner can join for free. So you know, we're going to be online. It's going to be easy for you for your life partner or business partner to sit in as well. But there's no additional charge for that. And this is the link to go and book. So it's the bit.ly link there, which I'll just put into the chat box. Where are we? Boom, 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 boom. So it's done.
we're able to copy and paste that, Mark.
I can't copy from the slide, mate. Unfortunately, it doesn't
You're
let
able
you.
to type, can you type it in the chat box?
Yeah, I'm just going to type it now.
Well done. So the whole 6-month mentor package, the weekly Zooms, access to our team, the private group, just £300 per month, free live video of our HMO one-day masterclass, completely free of charge. And for the first 10 people that sign up, that's completely free. And you can bring a life partner, business partner or friend in if they live with you for absolutely nothing. Amazing. Are you sure we agreed this, Jackie?
I can't believe we've done it so cheaply. Now I've looked at it again, I have to say, but you know, genuine offer, guys, and yeah, thank you for your attendance. I mean, you attended. There's a lot of you have stayed online right to the very end. You know, now if you've got any questions before signing, then leave your telephone number and email address in the chat box, as you've been leaving questions all evening. Just type it in there. We will give you a call tomorrow and answer any further questions you have. We're going to go on to some more Q&A in a second, but yeah, sorry, Peter.
It is only the first 10 people we can give a copy of the free one-day HMO course, and obviously their partners for free, just to reiterate that. Awesome. Is there any more questions? Can we ask any more questions now?
Let's take a few more questions. So you know, we've still got quite a few people online, so let's go over some of the questions. Okay, Ross, we'll have a chat with you tomorrow, Ross. Okay.
Steve Abbott, he's asking Mark, can they extend at the end of the 6 months?
Well, possibly. I think the thing is, it's the first and only one we're probably going to do. So it was designed as a 6-month one, primarily to deal, to be honest with you, with the COVID situation, because I think there's a lot of confusion with people as to what they can and can't do at the moment, and you'd be surprised. I can tell you now, just some of the mentees, some of the people we're working with. So Julia, who's based in the south, she has identified over 100 sites, right? 100 sites that she's working on now, and this is all done online, but there's some parts of it she can actually still do. Right, so she's found 100 sites online. We've got Louis, which Peter mentioned a little bit earlier. He has actually been out to view a couple of properties. Now, these were empty properties, and it was all done within a safe environment. So there are still situations where things can be done. And Peter, I think one of your HMOs was fully let out during the lockdown.
It was. We actually, 2 of them were. We did one that was rented out to key workers, and we did 50% rent for all key workers up until the end of the year. And we rented out 6 rooms within a 10-day period. And then just another one, which was in Wokenham, which rented out as well.
Yeah. So there are things. I think there's a lot of people holding back because they just don't know what to do. And this program is designed to release that inertia, to get you to do things, put you on a path that you can start to do things. And yes, admittedly, there's going to be some things you won't be able to do, some strategies that may not necessarily work as well, but you're on a path where once the lockdown is out of taken out, you can immediately get things going. So you've already got that preparation in there.
I promise you, the next 6 months is going to be the best 6 months we've ever seen in our lifetime to invest. Please let us help you make the most of that. Dave Adams, one for you, Mark. Dave Adams, why is it so cheap? What's the catch?
The catch is, right, you get the three of us. You do have to put up with Peter jumping up and down a lot because he can't sit still for 5
My
minutes.
energy.
No, there is no catch. We were trying to think of something that we could come up with that was where we could help people get out of this inertia. We've spoken to a lot of people. I've seen stuff online saying, look, what could I do now? I'm stuck. Can't do anything, can't get out of the house. What am I supposed to do? And you'll be surprised. There's so much you can do. Yes, normally this would be charged a lot higher figure. People on our mentorship program, someone on the webinar tonight will vouch for that. They're paying around about the £20,000 mark for our personal attention. So we thought, well, okay, how can we do this in a cost-effective way that one actually helps us too, because we've got the additional time now to actually do something like this, which we wouldn't have had time to do an online program previously. And we were just thought, well, okay, how can we make this affordable? I think the retail price, we were still only looking, I think, about £4,000 for this anyway. But we just decided, look, let's just cut to the chase. Let's do it at just £300 a month. We could have asked for it all up front, but we thought, no, we'll just do it on a monthly basis, but it's a minimum of 6 months. So, that's the catch, guys. It's just stay the course. You'll get tremendous value each month, each week.
It's not just property as well. I mean, Jackie is one of the best coaches I've ever worked with, just a coach in general. Motivation. Some people come to us because they want accountability, but they also want to be motivated. And Mark alluded earlier to the mindset of a property investor. So it's not just about property, it's about a lot of other things that we can help you with as well.
Ash Patel is asking, would you advise on a garage conversion to add an extra room?
Yes, if you can do that, if it adds value to the house, if it adds value to the HMO, if you're only going to have 5 bedrooms, so it gives you a 6-bedroom, providing there's no covenants, providing you can get planning permission or it's on permitted development, potentially put an ensuite in it, that then could create an annex to the property as well. Where do I stop? Garage conversions excite me. It could be a double-story extension, could just be the garage. We're doing a couple in Berkshire at the moment ourselves. Yeah, definitely. It's a great opportunity. Who uses a garage for a car anymore? The other thing I would say, does it affect the parking? How much parking could there be? We've just bought one in East Hampstead. We're converting the garage into an ensuite bedroom, and then we're taking the whole of the front grass and we're just making it a driveway. So a driveway for 1 car now becomes 4.5 cars, and then we've got an extra downstairs bedroom as well. So we're adding about 50 grand value to the house immediately.
Hi Steve. Yeah, the link there, I've put a link, I've typed it into the chat box. So if you look at your chat box as opposed to your questions box, so you're obviously typing the questions box, but if you look in the chat box, I have actually put the URL link there as well. So you should just be able to click on that and it will take you straight through. Any issues, just let us know, leave your phone number, we can give you a call in the morning and get it sorted. Hi Martin, yeah, thanks for your comments. For Jackie and Peter that can't probably see this, I'm not sure. It's just thanks Mark, Jackie and Peter, excellent content from Martin.
Excellent. We do a few more questions. I think people are still looking at the
yeah. So Ryan, how could you help me set up HMOs with 10 to 15,000 starting budget?
It depends if you want to do rent to rent. If you don't want to do rent to rent, if you may want to use that as part budget to do a joint venture with someone. We'll teach you how to position yourself in a marketplace with the knowledge to go out and do a joint venture. We'll teach you how to find investors to do joint ventures with, or we can teach you how, and we can teach you how to turn that money into a successful rent to rent, to give you income, and then go and do another one. So there's loads of things you can do with 15 grand. You could become a property sourcer. We can teach you how to become a property sourcer. You could look at lease options, purchase options. There's lots of different ways we could help you leverage that money and your time to be a successful property investor.
Right, Charlotte's speaking to you tomorrow, apparently. Sammy's asking,
lovely.
Do you advise buying auction properties?
At the moment, no. I think it's very difficult to get a good deal at an auction. And I think there's going to be better places, a lot better. I could probably think of 6 better places to buy properties. And those of you that sign up, I'll tell you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think auctions, I agree. I mean, we've never bought a property at auction at all. I know some people do. We're one of them.
Jackie, can you confirm that link's working, darling? Just to make sure for everyone. Don't want anyone disappointed.
Right.
Someone check.
Other questions here. So Kathy's left.
Doesn't look as if it's working. Oh, hang on, guys.
Is it working?
It's taking me somewhere.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't come
Sorry,
out of my
guys.
screen. Otherwise, we'll lose the presentation.
That's fine. It's taken me through to Infusionsoft, so it's just taking a little while to load. Yeah,
Okay.
It's all working. Yeah.
Brilliant. Good. There's probably too many people trying to do it at once, so it might take a bit longer, but persevere if you're on
Just
there.
persevere. Or just leave your phone number. If you haven't got time now, leave your phone number. We'll give you a call in the morning.
And just to confirm, Mark, this offer of £300 only for 24 hours.
Yes, sorry, forgot to mention that bit.
Just because otherwise we're going to be.
Because we are going to be starting on this very quickly within the next 7 days. So, don't miss out. Don't leave it another 3 or 4 days because the offer won't be there. Are there any other questions you can see, Peter? I mean, a lot of them are repeated. There's a lot of. Right, Manny says the link is working. Yeah. Good question from Tazin. Is it advisable to spend £100,000 on HMO setup for controlling a property on a purchase lease option? Well, I'll tell you my opinion on that. No. What you've got to bear in mind is the purchase lease option. You're controlling the property. You're not the owner of the property as yet. And if you don't exercise that option, and I'm not saying you won't, but there could be circumstances in the future where you decide, actually, I'm not going to exercise that option. That could be £100,000 wasted. However, it really depends on the returns, doesn't it? Now, if you're going to get an exceptional return by investing that £100,000, that's a judgment call for you. You've got to bear in mind, as I said, if something goes wrong, the option goes wrong, or not goes wrong, but it expires. So you miss the fact that it runs out, or you change, or your circumstances change, and you don't want to exercise it. That's going to be £100,000 lost. So that's my opinion. It would be a no. I'd rather spend that on a property I'm going to own, not one I'm just going to control.
Danny Hurst has said, can my wife do this with me? Yes, she can.
Absolutely, and for no extra charge.
We did say we would do it complete. We would allow you to bring a partner, friend, or anyone you live with, business partner, or for no more money. So the £300 per month for both of you. So yeah, she can.
Yeah.
So
Ryan's asking, what sort of information would the weekly Zooms include?
Brilliant. Well, this is the best thing about it. Those of you that have already booked, you'll have a quick 15-minute one-to-one with Mark, Jackie or I next week. So we start immediately. The Zooms then are weekly on top of that. And every single week, we will cover whatever you want. Okay, any questions around what you want and what you need. And we'll work on that individually with you, but as a group as well. And the great thing about working within a group is the additional content and information you get from each other's questions and each other's journeys. So you're benefiting from, you're getting 20 times, if you like, the amount of information and the mentoring, which is really good. And also within that group, each group we do always becomes a little property family. And you'll probably end up getting to know everybody else in the group really well, and even potentially doing some joint ventures with other people in the group. It always happens, doesn't it, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Ross, would this be good to attend if me and my partner had visions of a limited company after the course? Yeah, definitely, Ross. In fact, it's one of the topics we'll probably cover as well. You know, and just adding on to what Peter was saying, each week, weekly session will have an accountability bit as well at the beginning. So not the first one, but the subsequent one. So the beginning will be basically, okay, you said last week you were going to do this. Have you done it? And then at the end of the session, right, these are your tasks for the next 7 days.
Here we go. Just talking about repair costs for HMO year 1, year 2. We will teach, by the way, a couple of things we'll teach you immediately, which is relevant to this question. We'll teach you how to only pay 5% VAT on refurbs, which is amazing, save you 15%. We'll also teach you how to negotiate to get a year's free property maintenance, the first year's free property maintenance. And on average, I would say, although you won't need it for the first year, put £50 away a month, and then by year 3, 4, when you have to start spending a little bit of money, you already have it in an account. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. And yeah, we can save you 15% in the next couple of days on refurbs.
Ash is asking, is the criteria for getting an HMO license quite stringent?
It is, but
yeah,
we teach you how to fill out the paperwork in a certain way, which will almost guarantee the license. Between the three of us, for our own properties, our mentees' properties, and our clients' properties, we've never been refused a HMO license.
I'll just add something to that, Ash. Our very first HMO, we had a license for 17 tenants, and it was a bit of a humongous job to get paperwork through. However, you know, environmental health will not refuse you as long as you've complied with all of the safety issues. So, you know, it's just a form filling exercise to begin with. And then, you know, they will tell you exactly what they require from you, bring that property into a licensable state. So it's not, you know, everybody thinks it's going to be a nightmare, it's going to be difficult. It isn't. It's just a question of completing the paperwork and bringing the safety, all of the safety issues up to standard. And, you know, it really is quite that simple if you just, you know, set out and do it. Don't put it off. You know, it's one of those, I don't want to do this, I'll put it off till tomorrow. But, you know, once you get into it, it really is not a difficult thing to do.
What areas do you work in? We can teach anyone to invest in any area in the UK. Personally, we've invested across Berkshire and Surrey, Scotland, Hull, up and down the country.
Yeah, sorry, Marie, Jackie's webcam is frozen. I think that's why she's getting a blank screen at this end. So yeah, she's perfectly okay. She's just, as you just said.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Is my screen blank? Is it? It keeps freezing, I know, but
yeah, yeah, you've gone blank at this end. You were okay for a while, but it's gone blank.
Will the 6 months mentorship ensure I have lift off on my rent to rent business? Absolutely.
absolutely.
100%.
100%.
And would there be ongoing support after that? There will be options, definitely, Manny. So something we discussed at the time. I think that's probably most of the questions, isn't it? Really. Yeah. Yes, Ross, we can do a conference call with you and your business partner tomorrow. If you just want to indicate a time in the box there, would that be suitable, or a range of times, then we can see what we can fit in. I know we're stars, Ash, we try not to blow our own trumpet too much, but hey,
Hey, anybody out there that wants to succeed in property, then you're getting 3 people that you're never going to meet, 3 property mentors and care more than us, and with a variety of experience like we have. And this is never going to happen again. £300 per month for 3 of us. This is never happening again. Take advantage of it. I still think Mark made a typo.
Well, it's too late now.
I think you missed off a naught.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
I think we've got
get that
most
URL
of the questions
down.
that we could. We're obviously going to be speaking to some of you tomorrow. I think some of you have already booked anyway, so thank you for that, and we'll be in touch in the next couple of days. For those of you who haven't joined us, you have 24 hours to make up your mind, as it were. Hope you can join us. You will see the benefits. That's one thing I can absolutely assure you, as you've seen from the people that we've shown on tonight's webinar, not only the testimonials, but the examples of properties that are actual properties, that are live properties, the ones that have been either done by mentees, done by us, or in even ones that we've sourced for other people. So, they're active properties. So it's proof in the pudding that it can all be done. Okay, I think people are starting to log off now. So thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your evening. I know we finished a little bit late, but there were a lot of questions there. Enjoy it, and look forward to working with some of you in the next week or so.
Well done, everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and look forward to seeing a lot of you soon.